Okay. I've been on YouTube for about 18 years now. No, 15. This is going to be one take. I don't know how long this is going to take because I don't really plan these things. I didn't plan to do this. I planned this, but I didn't plan how it was going to go. So you're here with me on this first take. You obviously know what the title is. Obviously, you know what the point is. This is my first video, which I guess means that the topic at the very least is significant enough to me in my mind for me to discuss it. Now, why hasn't, of all the things in this universe that I can discuss, especially right now, why this? As far as my perspective, I'm not going to discuss almost anything else because I don't think my opinion really matters, and I don't think I have an overall 100% perfect perspective on certain other topics that I could mention that are more poignant. So we're going to talk about One Piece. Now, I'm sure many of you people are cheering up and down because you love One Piece. I'm sure many of you people like me are raising an eyebrow in skepticism and dubious condescension at the idea of One Piece, and for that I don't blame you. I share those views. Now, why am I discussing it? I wouldn't consider myself a One Piece fan. And that's going to sound very ironic considering everything I'm about to tell you. I haven't seen an entire arc of One Piece, so to speak. And again, it's going to sound even more ironic the more I discuss this. But I wouldn't consider myself a fan. I haven't seen enough of this show to consider myself a fan. And I never considered myself a fan, even from the first moment that I heard about it and watched it when I was around 14 or 15. Around when it was released in America. And I was not impressed. The artwork seemed rudimentary. It was in English, so that was already a black ball in its against it. And the general idea seemed really cringe even then. I wasn't behind it. But time progressed and it grew, and I continued to ignore it. And it got to a point where, out of curiosity, a couple of years later, I watched the first couple episodes in Japanese. Still not impressed. So I dropped it. And that was it. One Piece is either not for me or it just sucks. And as time progressed, it just got older and bigger and wider and more unavoidable, especially in the anime world. So I started to wonder, what if? I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. So I got all the way to episode 10, dropped it again. Usopp, Nami, and then I started to look things up to see if it got any better, because obviously anime tends to get better. I mean, it's gotten this old at that time, I thought. So I looked things up. Frankie, Brook was okay, but I mean, obviously Zoro, great. Luffy has his interesting points if you're into that. I'm not gonna lie, I immediately took to Waterlaw. Still my favorite character. My point is, I did my homework. I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't, because I want to make sure that if I have an idea of why I don't like something, I want to know why. And again, I couldn't tell why. And because I couldn't tell why, I got researchy. But the more research I got into, I just dismissed it and I moved on. Until I had a friend who showed me this AMV, I guess back when AMVs were still a thing. And it was a Luffy versus Lucci's Overkill video. Many One Piece fans by now, I'm pretty sure, already know exactly what I'm talking about. And I was blown away. The finish of that fight was probably one of the most impressive, most cathartic, most inspiring finishes I've seen in a very long time. And the score, the music didn't hurt at all. So, again, Splinter in my mind got bigger. Why is One Piece so hard for me to ignore, despite the fact that, against all evidence, I shouldn't like it, I haven't liked it, I found it impossible to get into, and it gets bigger, and it gets older, and I'm not gonna lie, it got more intimidating and daunting, and it became more of a deterrent. So I dismissed it again, even though I love that. I saw every video of that genre, of that type, and I started watching more fights, and the fights got more impressive. And the Splinter got bigger. But I ignored it again, because despite all of those things that made it interesting, I couldn't get past episode 10 again. So I dropped it for the third time, and I just went, maybe it's not for me. It's not like I was unaware of the plot, as you can tell. I did my Wikipediaing. I don't mind spoiling things for myself. I want to make sure that what I'm investing as far as time is worthwhile. And what I saw at face value wasn't worthwhile, and the 3 hours or so that I'd invested in it at that point wasn't worth it either. So I did something that I try to do as often as possible, and that's, I thought about things thoroughly and decidedly. Why don't you like it? What are its flaws? It's silly. No judgment there. I mean, you can't say it's not silly. Some of the reactions are literally people doing, and of like 15 seconds of everyone's face having a particular different variation of that, or just the fact that somebody's gonna pop by their own arm to the size of a skyscraper and bash you into the floor or through a building or into the ocean through your own ship. It's silly. It's long, and it only got longer. A thousand. Okay, yeah, just 1,000. Let's just put it that way. 1,000. Pirates. Pirates haven't always been my favorite thing. Even in my childhood, I was more of a Peter Pan guy over the pirates. So pirates haven't always been my thing. Usopp, Nami, Frank. Don't get me wrong. There have been characters in other anime that don't really cut my jib. I mean, let's just say Lucy. So there have been characters in the main cast that haven't always cut my jib. I'm not gonna act like I'm above such things, but I don't know. For some reason, it just. But again, it's always been a splinter in my mind, and that splinter got so big that the main question was, why can't I let it go? And then I thought really long and hard, and well, why can't I let it go? Because it's everywhere, it's pervasive, and it's not dead yet. It's everywhere. It gets to a point where some of the people that you respect who love anime told you that it's worth watching. That is something you don't forget. One of my best friends, love One Piece. I loved it ever since it first came out. I've never let it go, and I don't think I can let it go. I can't wait. I watch as soon as it releases. I watch everything as soon as it releases. Okay? It's obviously popular. It's enduring. It's influenced many anime. Many people who create anime, many people who love anime are inspired by it, from it, to create off of it. I'm not ignorant to those things, so that's another mark in its favor. And it's not like you don't see its love for your loves and vice versa. I'll never forget that moment where I saw Akira Toriyama drawing Luffy in Dragon Ball Z, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the mangaka. Oda, if I remember correctly. I don't remember the name of the mangaka by name full. Haven't gotten there yet, but I apologize. But he drew Goku in One Piece format, which I thought was darling of them to do that as an homage for each other. And then the more that progressed, I kept saying artwork of them doing things like that for each other, like Goku and Luffy's outfit, Luffy and Goku's outfit, and I can't ignore that either. I love Dragon Ball. Okay, I'm not going to say who doesn't love Dragon Ball, because that's a very flawed question. But I love Dragon Ball. How could you not give its credit where it's due? And if Dragon Ball and Akira Toriyama go that far to show love for something that I disagree with so vehemently at the time, may I be wrong? Again, another mark on it. So all of these things kept playing in my mind. And I promise you, this isn't something that is recent. This is a mass epiphany over the course of a couple of weeks that has been an amalgamation of an accumulation over the course of years. I was still in high school when I was thinking about this, and it progressed all the way up to, don't ask how old I am. This year's old. So again, I wonder, why can't I let it go? Well, maybe I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, how am I wrong? And that's when it hit me. All of those things, while valid, that I had against it, I also considered, well, sorry, it's been a while since I've never done actually anything like this, I apologize. I thought to myself, haven't I made exceptions for these kinds of things before? And for example, one of those flaws was that it's silly. Yeah, but so was Furikuri. Amazing. I loved it. I can't say anything bad about Furikuri. It has a big place right here. And as far as silly, Full Metal Panic Fumafu. Love it. Right here. Big place in my soul. Certain aspects of Fairy Tail are rather silly. Ichiya, I still haven't made peace with Ichiya yet. I don't think I'll ever make peace with Ichiya. Don't get me wrong. Respect. But confounded. Moving on. It's long. It's so long. Is it though? I mean, I've seen House MD 1 through 8 nonstop, back to back once. I've seen Austin Powers 1 and 2 back to back on VHS when I was a child, an entire day. I apologize. I'm actually pretty symptomatic. Excuse me. Ugh. Sorry, you didn't see that. Something's going around, I think. I'm back. Yeah. Length's never been an issue. Tediousness of length has never been an issue. I watched Naruto. I've seen Dragon Ball, obviously. So length is not an issue. It's about pirates. Again, is that really an issue though? Because I love black sails. I wrote an article a couple of years ago praising black sails. I saw Pirates of the Caribbean. Jeremy Bruckheimer killed the first 3 of the series. I won't comment on the other ones. We'll pretend those don't exist. But I love Pirates of the Caribbean. Curse of the Black Pearl to this day is probably one of the most entertaining movies I've ever seen. And the movies following that, giving you justifiable reasons for a lot of the lore and a lot of the scuttlebutt and a lot of the legends you hear about pirate culture. I thought it was fascinating, really. So obviously that's not a problem. Usopp, Nami, Frankie, Lucy, Ichiya, etc. Yajirobe. Yeah, I know there's a lot of you Yajirobe fans. Sorry, not my thing. But still, I've endured characters I don't like before for the sake of the cause. So why not One Piece? Does One Piece not deserve so many exceptions to be made for itself, given how much love it has, how much love it's given to the community, and how much love the community, both professional and otherwise, has given to it? If Akira Toriyama is willing to put his uniform on Luffy and draw Luffy in the image of Akira Toriyama's artwork, does it not deserve a little more than 10 episodes? Normally I'd say no, but that's because most anime get the 3 or 4 episode challenge. 3 or 4 episodes usually within a season or a series of an anime is usually long enough to tell where a direction of the anime or that season is going. You will generally going to know whether or not you're going to like that anime / that season. So if within 3 or 4 episodes I'm not in, and therefore I'm out. And I guess with One Piece at the time, I got up to episode 5, then I dropped it. I got to episode up to 10 before recently, and then I dropped it. And then I was like, well, if it's not going to happen in 10 episodes, when is it going to happen? And everyone's like, wait until. And I've heard a lot of points, and like some of those points are pretty deep in there. And I always used to make the excuse, again, 100 episodes deep is not a good enough excuse to consider something quality. And then I considered mathematics. the language of logic. And I said 3 or 4 episodes in a season is usually a pretty decent sized fraction of that season to determine whether or not you're going to like it. That's around at least 10% of a season or a series, depending on the size. So, with this in mind, what's 10% of One Piece now? 10% of One Piece now, 1,000 of anything, 100 is at least 10% of One Piece. So, if I want to give it the 10% try that everyone else gets, the fair shot, I gotta go 100 episodes deep. So, here's what we'll do. I call it the 100 episode challenge, or the 10% challenge. In this case, One Piece deserves 100 episodes based on my own mathematics to determine its worthiness. Or in this case, my dubious nature refuses to let it go and therefore needs to define a reason or determine an answer for why I can't let this go. And I think in 100 episodes, it should be more than enough time to determine that answer. In 100 episodes, I'll love it and I'll be hooked and I'll give you a review or an answer. Or in 100 episodes, I'll just think that it's just not for me and I'll let it go. That's the challenge. So far, before I decided to conceptualize this challenge, I was at episode 10, and that's where I stayed. Since then, just 3 days ago, when I decided to conceptualize this challenge, again, I apologize for the reiterative words. It's still my first video and only a single take. When I decided to come up with this idea, I was at episode 10. Since then, 3 days ago, I'm now at episode 23. Not bad. To be fair, I am doing what I call the One Piece run, in which case I skip the first 3 to 4 minutes of an episode, which has the intro and an enormously long Dragon Ball Z Toei animation style recap. You fans, real anime fans know. It's a thing, it's a problem, and I've heard it gets really, really bad as you get closer to manga catch-up speed. So, as I get further, the episode should get slimmer, although I think that that's not going to be the case at the episode 100 challenge because that's too close. But, I should be skipping the first 3 to 4 minutes of an episode, the 3 minutes of the ending of that episode, which should leave me with a solid 14 to 15 minutes of content for me to absorb. So my challenge is I need to do at least 3 episodes a day, every single day, until I reach 100 and determine my answer. And then I have to either report here or write an article, or I don't know. I'll figure that out when I get there. But that's the challenge. I have to get episode 100, 10% of currently approximately One Piece, and then I determine my answer. It's been such a big splinter in my mind over the past 15 years that I had to determine an answer about this anime for myself. So I guess at the very least, that's significant enough. You've won to that degree. Oda, I really need to determine the mangaka's name. If that is your name, then again, you clearly at least won to that regard. You have piqued so much of my interest that I can't let this go until I have an answer about you. So, to that degree, you've won. Mangaka Odaka?